There is a video going around right now telling people over 60 that if you add 1 spoonful of oil to your morning coffee, 3 things happen. Your stem cells switch back on. Cancer cells get starved of their fuel, and the fat packed around your organs starts to burn off. So I went and pulled the studies, all of them. One of those 3 claims has a real human trial underneath it. The second comes from a study done in mice that has never been repeated in a person. And the third is built on a paper that, as far as I can find, does not exist at all. I'm Dr. John Myers. I'm an internal medicine specialist, and I have spent more than 20 years looking after people in exactly your age group. And before you click away thinking I'm about to tell you the whole thing is nonsense, I'm not. There is something real here. I keep a bottle of this in my own kitchen. It is just far more specific and a great deal more modest than the version you were sold. So today you are getting 3 things. A fat that skips your bloodstream and goes straight to your liver. A second fuel your body has almost forgotten how to make. And 2 letters on the label of the bottle that decide whether this works at all or whether you have just poured $12 down the sink. And look, everything we're about to go through here, what your body actually runs on after 60 and how much of what you get sold is real. That is exactly the kind of thing my patients ask me about every single day. So I took everything I tell my own patients and put it into one simple plan for living longer, stronger, and healthier after 60. 28 of the things that actually change as you get older. Your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your memory, your balance, and those are only some of them. Thousands of people are already using it to take back their health. It's already helped so many of them live their best life after 60. The link is on your screen right now, so go check it out at drjohnmyers.com. And I'll drop that same link down in the description below. So it's right there whenever you're ready. All right, let's start with what actually changes inside you after 60, because that is the part the sales pitch skips straight past. Your body runs on 2 fuels, only 2, sugar and fat. And after about the age of 60, for most people, one of those 2 lines is doing nearly all of the work. Every time you eat, glucose goes up, insulin goes up, and insulin does one very specific job. It tells every cell in your body, do not touch the fat, we have sugar. And between breakfast and mid-morning something, lunch and dinner, that message runs almost continuously from the moment you wake up until your head hits the pillow. So the second fuel line, the one that runs on fat, sits there unused, not broken, unused. Your liver still knows perfectly well how to take fat and turn it into a fuel called ketones, which is what your brain and your muscles run on when sugar is not available. It simply never gets asked to. Hold on to that phrase, the second fuel line, because all 3 of those claims are really claims about it. Everything we look at today gets scored against it. And one correction before we go on, because that video got this backwards. In the year 2000, the Journal of Physiology compared muscle in adults averaging 39 to adults averaging 69. The older muscle had about half the oxidative capacity, the ability to burn fuel using oxygen. But the number of mitochondria, the little engines inside the cell, had only dropped about a fifth. Most of your engines are still in there running at half throttle, and an engine that still exists can be handed a better fuel. So the oil MCT stands for medium chain triglyceride, and the only thing that word medium describes is length. Every fat you eat is a chain of carbon atoms, and the ones in olive oil, butter, beef, and nuts run 14 to 24 carbons long. Your body handles those slowly, packing them into transport particles that circulate through your lymph system for hours before your liver ever sees them. Medium chain fats are 6 to 12 carbons, and that shorter length changes the whole route. They absorb straight into the portal vein, the direct pipe running from your gut to your liver, and skip the lymph system completely. Your liver gets them within minutes and turns a portion of them into ketones. And you do not have to fast for that. You do not have to be on a keto diet for that. A crossover study published in Frontiers in Nutrition in 2020, done specifically in healthy older adults, showed that caprylic acid raises blood ketones even when you take glucose alongside it. The rise is smaller with carbohydrate in the mix, but it still happens. You are opening the second fuel line without having to starve yourself to do it. Now, let's take those three claims one at a time, starting with the one that has the most behind it, fat. In 2008, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition published a 16-week trial. Everybody in it was on a weight loss diet. One group took about 4 teaspoons of MCT oil a day. The other took the same number of calories as olive oil. Same diet, same calories, and the only variable was which oil. The MCT group finished about 1.82 kilos lighter, call it 3.5 pounds over 16 weeks, purely from swapping one oil for another. And I want to be straight with you about that study because the video you may have seen was not 49 people started it. Only 31 finished, and every single person in it was under 50 years old. So it tells us something real about the fat and almost nothing about a 70-year-old body. The better number came in 2015 when the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics pulled 13 of these trials together. 749 people, and the average weight difference came out at about half a kilo. Just over a pound. That is the honest across all the studies answer. And I understand if you feel a little deflated hearing it. So let me tell you why it still matters. That pound did not come from adding anything. It came from a swap. Those people were eating fat either way and changing which fat, and nothing else moved the number in the right direction. And one more thing that video claims I need to shoot down for you. It says caffeine and MCT oil multiply each other, that together they raise fat burning by 51%. There is exactly one trial that has actually tested the combination published in 2024, and it found no significant difference whatsoever. Coffee is a perfectly good delivery vehicle. It tastes better, and you are already drinking it. The two are not multiplying each other. Quick thing while we're about halfway. If you have ever bought something for your health because a video told you to, and then quietly wondered afterwards whether any of it was real, that is exactly what this channel is for. Subscribe and leave me a comment telling me what you have been sold that you are still not sure about. I read them and they decide what I dig into next. Right? The second claim, stem cells. This is the one that gets the most breathless treatment online and the one where I have to be most careful with you. There is a real study. In 2019, a lab at MIT published in the journal Cell. And what they found is genuinely interesting. In the lining of your gut, there is a population of stem cells whose only job is to keep replacing that lining constantly your entire life. Ketones help maintain that population. Feed the animals a high glucose diet, ketones drop, and the stem cell pool shrinks with them. Now, those were mice, intestinal stem cells in mice. Nobody has shown it in a human being. And there is a second problem nobody quoting this study ever mentions, which is the dose. The concentration of ketones you need in the blood to get that effect on the cell machinery is several times higher than a spoonful of oil in your coffee actually produces. The mechanism is real. The mechanism does not reach the dose. So no, I am not going to tell you a spoonful of oil reactivates your stem cells because that study does not say it and no study says it yet. What I will tell you is that a serious lab is asking whether the fuel your cells run on changes how well they repair themselves. And the early animal answer is yes. That is worth knowing. It is not worth $12 a bottle on its own. Which brings us to the third claim, and here I am going to ask you to listen closely because there is a version of this circulating that could genuinely hurt somebody. The claim is that ketones starve cancer. This is where it comes from. Otto Warburg won the Nobel Prize in 1931 for working out how cells breathe. And along the way, he noticed something odd about tumors. Many of them burn through glucose far faster than the healthy tissue around them. He was right. It is such a reliable observation that we built a scanner on it. When you have a PET scan, what we inject is a sugar tracer, and the tumor lights up because it is pulling in sugar faster than everything else in the body. So the reasoning goes, take the sugar away, hand the body ketones instead, and the tumor starves while the healthy cells carry on. The studies people quote for that were done in mice, and when researchers reviewed the human trials of ketogenic approaches in cancer patients, the conclusion was that these diets cannot currently be recommended as a cancer treatment because the survival data simply is not there. So let me say this as plainly as I know how. If you or someone you love has cancer, this oil is not a treatment, and I would never want you to delay one because of a video, including this one. What I can say honestly is much smaller, and it is still worth something. Giving your body a second fuel to run on, so that it is not entirely dependent on a constant supply of sugar, is a sensible thing to do for your metabolism. That is the claim. That is the whole claim. And there is one finding that deserves far more attention than any of the three you were sold. In 2019, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition published a trial in nursing home residents averaging 85 years old, 6 grams a day for 3 months. Their scores on a timed leg movement test went up by roughly half. Their swallowing strength improved as well. Not weight, not appearance, function. Getting out of a chair and swallowing your dinner safely in the oldest and frailest people they could find. That is the result I would want you to remember. All right, let's get practical, because everything I have told you is worth nothing if you buy the wrong bottle, and most people do. Number one, and this is the whole thing, MCT oil is not one substance. It is a family sorted by carbon length. C8, caprylic acid, is the one that raises ketones the most. C10 is decent. C12 lauric acid, which is what coconut oil is mostly made of, behaves almost exactly like an ordinary long-chain fat and barely moves ketones at all. And here is why that matters at the shop. C12 is the cheapest to produce. So a great deal of what gets sold as MCT oil is mostly lauric acid sitting on the shelf beside a bottle of pure C8 at 3 times the price. Those two are not the same purchase. Turn the bottle around. If the label says C8 or caprylic acid, that is your bottle. If it leads with lauric acid or coconut, put it back. Number 2, the dose, and go slowly. Start with 1 teaspoon, not a tablespoon, a teaspoon. Stay there a week. The most common problem with this oil is your gut cramping, bloating, and urgent trip to the bathroom, and it is dose dependent. So the faster you ramp up, the worse it gets. Most people who say they cannot tolerate MCT oil start it at 3 times the dose they should have. After a week, if you are fine, go to 2 teaspoons. A tablespoon is a sensible ceiling. Number 3, blend it. Do not stir it. Pour oil into hot coffee, stir it with a spoon, and it separates within seconds and floats to the top. So you drink a mouthful of pure oil at the end of the cup. Use a blender, a stick blender, or one of those little handheld frothers that costs about $8. 15 seconds and it goes smooth and creamy the whole way through. Number 4, timing. First thing in the morning before you eat anything, there is nothing magic about the clock. Ketones and glucose compete, and if you put toast on top of it, you have just closed the fuel line you spent $12 opening. And number 5, the honest one. A tablespoon is somewhere between 100 and 120 calories. It is not free. Add it on top of everything you already eat and you will not lose a pound. This works as a swap. It replaces fat you are going to eat anyway. One more thing before we finish. Everything I just gave you, that whole protocol, that is 1 chapter. In my plan, it is one of 28. 28 of them worked through exactly like this. The link is down in the description, and I pinned it at the top of the comments too, so you don't have to go hunting for it. No rush. Whenever you're ready. Now, 2 groups need to speak to a doctor first. If you have liver disease, anything from significant fatty liver up to cirrhosis, this oil goes straight to your liver by design. So have that conversation. And if you have type 1 diabetes, deliberately raising your ketones is not something to do without your doctor involved. If you take any medication that lowers your blood sugar, mention it to whoever prescribes it. That is the list. For most people over 60, this is one of the better tolerated things you can add. As for what to expect in the first week or 2, most people notice the morning feels steadier and they are less hungry before lunch. That part arrives quickly and it is real. The body composition side is slow and small. Weeks, not days, and about a pound. Anybody promising you more than that is selling you something. So, quickly, what to actually do. 1. Buy C8. Read the label. Put back anything that leads with lauric acid or coconut. 2. 1 teaspoon for the first week. Work up to a tablespoon. Never faster. 3. Blend it for 15 seconds. Never stir it. 4. Morning before food. 5. Count the calories and treat it as a swap rather than an addition. And of those 3 promises you were sold, 1 is real and modest, 1 is a mouse study, and 1 is a claim that nobody should be making at all. If this is the kind of thing you want more of, honest answers about what actually works after 60, hit subscribe, give this one a like, and tell me in the comments what you want me to pull the studies on next. I'm Dr. John Myers. Look after yourself.